Buffalo brother George, how are you today?
Hello, Buffalo brother John. I am great, and I had a great Sunday
Great
watching
Sunday.
the Bills squish the fish.
Yes.
Best thing I ever saw since the last time they
This is
squished
the
a
last time he
fish.
squished a fish.
And I am ready for another game this weekend.
I am too. I'm ready for the early start. We're going to get up. We're going to watch Buffalo Bills at 9:30 a.m.
Hey, y'all, we're going to be in London.
London town. Well, wherever Tottenham Stadium is. I think it's in North London or something. But yeah.
That's okay. We're going to take on the Jaguars, one of our nemesis.
So Saturday night, we're going to take a beer, 2 beers, out of the fridge and sit them on a counter.
Okay.
Because they drink warm beer in England.
Okay.
We're gonna have nice warm beer.
How many beers we got in the fridge?
We got at least 4.
Okay, well, you drink the warm ones. I go for a cold one.
All right, well, that's us getting ready for London. Breakfast with the Buffalo Bills. It sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick recap. What did you like about the game on Sunday against the Dolphins?
I like the defense.
And you want to do great.
I got to say, the defense, that was an A+. I got to give the defense an A+. They came out, they got caught a little bit the first 2 times Miami had the ball, but then they made the adjustments that you need to make on the fly, and they were able to get pressure onto Tua, get him running around, made him inaccurate, totally took his wide receivers out of the game. The Bills' front 4 totally took the running game away. Well, maybe not totally. They did do some. No, they did get some runs, but I think that was because Miami was so far behind. The Bills were keying on the passing downs, and Miami decided, well, let's run some, and they caught the Bills a few times.
All right. So you gave
A+ for the defense.
How about the offense?
A+ for the offense.
Okay.
I mean, to me, this was an all-around incredible performance. You had Josh Allen. The guy was like a vicious animal, but in a good way. He did not play outside himself. He played within himself in most cases. Stephon Diggs ran some of the most incredible routes and got open when he was covered or when Josh was in trouble. He found a way to get open, and he was Josh's best friend. Josh didn't involve the tight ends again. He involved his running back. He got some runs, only 29 yards rushing this week for Cook, but he also got quite a few, I think like 49 yards receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And they spread the touchdowns around. Well, Diggs got 3 himself, right?
Yeah, Diggs got 2 or 3, yeah.
I think he got 3. James Cook got his first one. A play where we saw Josh Allen try to fake the ball to Cook and take it out of his arms and run it in himself, but Cook held on to the ball. He wasn't going to give it up. He was going to get his first touchdown of the year, and he got it.
Yeah.
And a drive or 2 later, Josh Allen said, well, it's still my turn, and he went and ran one in. So it was absolutely incredible performance all the way around.
What did you think about the special teams?
Well, they made every kick that they needed to.
Bass made every kick. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
They
punted once, didn't they?
Yeah, a couple of times.
But you don't have to punt too much. That's good.
Look, let's say it. They even got turnovers again. Terrell Bernard, didn't he get a fumble recovery?
Yeah.
And Trey White got a reception, his first one since coming back.
Yeah.
And now, unfortunately, he's gone for the year again. I don't know what to say about that poor guy. I really feel for him. What's important for him now is just he's got to do his best to just get back to it. It's a tough road to hoe, but he's tough enough to do it. What did you think of the grading?
I thought your grading was pretty predictable.
Mm-hmm.
But I also
pretty predictable.
I think the defense got a solid A.
Yeah.
They did fantastic. The Trey White injury is the only downside there. That was unfortunate. The first 2 drives, Miami is a good offense.
Yes.
You could be a really good defense, but sometimes the other team is gonna. So now, offense, an A-, which is a very good score.
Yeah.
The minus part comes they put up 48 points, which is phenomenal.
Yes.
Was there a pick six? The offense scored all the points, right?
Offense scored all the points.
Which is phenomenal. So there's the A part. I'm taking a half point back because so we've got the Buffalo, we got the NFL Plus, and we get to watch the replays, and we even get at this point the coaches tape.
The coaching film,
right,
right,
is available, and there were a number of times, especially second half, where Allen goes off script when he doesn't have to. And that's what happened in the Jets game that got him in trouble, not get him in trouble, which ultimately led to some turnovers. And he's doing it again, but he really ends up making a great play on every time he did it. But, we're looking at this. He's got, just before the end of the half, there's a minute 50 left. He throws that amazing ball to Shakir, who's streaking down the sideline. Mm-hmm. It's really a magnificent pass. Shakir, unfortunately, is unable to catch it, which is probably why he was a fifth-round pick.
Yeah.
Right. So,
but it would have been a tough catch, but it was catchable.
It hits him in the head. It hits him in the head.
Well, his arms grow out his shoulders, not his earlobes.
But my issue here isn't actually with Shakir. It's third and long. It's like 3rd and 14.
Right.
They're just inside field goal range. And for some godforsaken reason, instead of taking Gabe Davis, who's open at about the 10 yards downfield with a real chance to get the first down, get 4 more yards. And if not that, get 10 more yards forward to make it a little easier field goal attempt. We got to try. We're up by 2 scores. And what is the one thing that we don't want to do? Let the Dolphins back in. Mm-hmm. We don't. So there were a couple other cases where he decides he's going to throw to Diggs.
Well, you got a point there.
Yeah. And he makes some plays. He was really on fire with his passing. But when he's not on fire with his passing, he could still be an outstanding quarterback and the team can win instead of literally lose because he's insisting on making these plays. So he was on fire. He made everything under the sun.
You got a point.
We criticized his decision-making after the Jet game. I was defending him a bit because that was one hell of a defense. Well, the Dolphins are okay, just an okay defense. But decision-making, he paid it worked. He made the good play.
They ended up
decision-making, there were times.
He didn't turn the ball over that time. Oh. We were lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And they kicked the field goal and went up 30 or 31.
So it was
to
31 to 14.
Yeah. But had they picked it off and gone down, which they did on their next drive and scored, it would have been 28-20, and they would have been down 1 score and been right back in the game. And so I see how you.
And the Dolphins get the ball to start the second half.
But at the same point,
it didn't happen.
We're talking about Josh Allen.
We are.
And he's going to do some cabbage head. He's not, he's better than he was at first week, but he's never going to be anybody else. And this is the guy.
Yeah, he's better than he was his rookie year. He's gotten better. The first 3 years, he got better every year.
I meant he was better than he was that first week, and I'm thinking maybe he learned some lessons, but he can't help himself.
Yeah.
That is who he is. When it comes to that part of his game, I don't believe he's coachable.
In that?
Yeah, I don't believe he's coachable in making good decisions. Sometimes he remembers. Sometimes he doesn't remember, and his head just goes all cabbage.
I don't give him. I don't give him out. Let him off that easy. Mm-hmm. I do think that Dorsey's called some great games the last few games, but I just don't think that he's the guy that could get Josh Allen to not play Superman ball. Now, I'm not taking away from, there are times blocking broke down and he had to make a play or he felt like he had to make the play. I'm not criticizing him for those plays, whether he made it or didn't, whether he took none of that. If blocking breaks down, I almost give you a pass, give him a pass. But when it doesn't, and it's just decision-making, boy, there are times that you wonder. He made a lot of great plays. But there are times when you look at the tape, and I'm not also talking about the read is on the right. I'm not expecting him to just know that the guy on the left is open. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about his first read, his second read, his third read, going to the deep route because that's either because it's digs or because he just wants to. And the other ones are there. And maybe in game situations, it's often smarter to take what's there and stay alive and get your nice field goal. But
the guy is Brett Favre. He's a young version of Brett Favre, and he's a gunslinger. And he is just in the heat of the game. It's not his brain that functions. It's his natural ability that
didn't know where you're going with that.
his brain don't function. It's just he sees a receiver down there. He's going to make the play, and sometimes he does, and hopefully or fortunately more often than not he does. It's when he does it and it doesn't work, and it turns to be that he does the same thing 3 or 4 times in the same game, and we end up losing. And that's been in the playoff games. And let's hope that guys like Diggs can stay in his head and keep him keep him focused. But he's a gunslinger, and he's just a cabbage head when it comes to that.
Look, his career is half over. Favre won 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Allen, I don't know if I think he will get us there, and I think we have a chance to win it when we do. But if he never ends up winning a Super Bowl, he's going to be another in a long line of gunslingers who didn't fulfill their potential.
That's true. That's true. Let's
hope
that he does.
And I don't agree with you that he can't learn the next step because of what he is so much better than he was when he came out of college. But I do question after Dable if this was the right coach, not for X's and O's, because he seems to be calling good games and designing good plays, but from a personality standpoint, I don't know if this is the guy to say, look, after this game, are they going to, I can't imagine that Ken Dorsey's going to have a come to Jesus session with them and be like, what the fuck were you thinking? Well, I just can't see that.
You know, we will continue to debate this throughout the rest of the year. We'll see how things go. But let's move to another coaching question.
All right.
Is McDermott a head coach or a defensive coordinator? He seems to be an outstanding defensive coordinator. I question his ability to be a head coach. He's finally doing fantastic. And his job is he demoted himself to defensive coordinator. And I think he picked the right choice. And now it's time for Bean to go get a head coach.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like him as a defensive coordinator. Look what he's done. He took that Leslie Frazier defense, and in just a matter of a month, he's turned it around to be an incredible dynamo for the players that he has. And he's got some good players, but he's got them playing in a system that is, they are getting to the quarterback, John. I don't know where I went. There I am. They're getting to the quarterback. They're having good coverage in the backfield. The linebackers are flying around, making tackles, making interceptions. He's got them flying high. But as a head coach, he couldn't seem to get his coaches under him to get that done.
Well, I don't. For me, the jury is still a little bit out there, but I will throw a couple things because you went that way. I will throw a couple things out there in his favor. 17 years this organization didn't make the playoffs until he got here, and what he did with essentially the same players.
Okay, let me challenge you with another step.
Yeah.
Ken Dorsey, would you agree with me that we're seeing better offensive scheming and plays this year than we saw last year? Could it be because McDermott is so busy that he's not in Ken Dorsey's face and he's letting Ken Dorsey be the offensive coordinator?
I think there's even better chance that Ken Dorsey has gotten better because it's the second year doing it.
Okay, yeah, those are good questions and something that can be debated.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that
Anything's
just as much chance it's on Dorsey.
We can debate that, and I'm just throwing it out as a challenge. And McDermott has been an incredible defensive coordinator, and while he's busy, Dorsey's been an incredible.
There are things about McDermott in-game management that I question, but I don't question, like, for a defensive coach, he goes for it on fourth down a bunch. He seems to feel that
he couldn't
well.
control the clock in 13 seconds. He couldn't take charge of his special teams in that game. And we can go on and different games and question some of the decision making and how his coaches were making decisions that were not sound. That's why I challenged, and I want him to be a good head coach.
Right.
But right now I see that he's a great defensive coordinator.
I think there was, he came in with that whole culture and environment beat talent every time. And I wasn't sure if that was true or not. But there is something to it. There is something to it because with the same players he has done, he did some, and then they made the playoffs. I know the following year they didn't, but then they were right back in the playoffs with a second-year quarterback. And there is he's got something. I think he prepared himself well to be a head coach. I do have some questions about not the going for fourth down, but some other in-game decisions. I also would, in this case, he's become a defensive coordinator. I think it would have been a good decision for him to take over special teams. Just take it over. Like, you would still have a special teams coordinator because you need somebody on the sidelines to organize. But Marv Levy took over special teams. He was a special teams coach, specialist. And I think that would have been a good, if you're going to be a coach of coaches, which kind of seems like where he was going with Dabo and Frazier, taking over special teams and being that guy, I think he could have helped the team there. He might have also felt that he just wasn't qualified for it. But the people he brought in, I don't know where either. And I question the Dorsey decision. You have a team that you literally think is ready to make a Super Bowl run, and you're going to give the reins to an offensive coordinator who's never been an offensive coordinator, who's never even called plays.
We don't know. Was that his decision? Was that Bean's decision?
Oh,
we're not going to know.
Whoa! I no.
You're going right.
The head coach makes his own coaching decisions. If the general manager that can happen, where a general manager or the owner, you think that happens in cowboy land?
Yeah.
The owner makes decisions about the other side? Absolutely. But the organization made McDermott the central voice. All information comes out of McDermott. He's the face of the management. Even though Bean will do press conferences a couple times a year, McDermott is the face of the franchise, and he has total control of the coaching and has a big say in personnel.
Well, would you agree with me? This is at least a good question to ask, and it's something that we should keep our eye on and continue to question as the season progresses and see where we are come playoff time. Yeah,
absolutely. In fact, before this season and even during the season, I've really questioned Bean. So I'm still on the fence there. Although, I don't know how any coaching staff or front office goes into a season with Spencer Brown as their right tackle.
Oh, that's a whole other question.
That doesn't make any sense. And coaches should have spoken up there. And if the offensive line coach is like, no, Spencer Brown can do the job, you need a new offensive line coach.
All right, you came onto the offensive line.
Yeah.
I was going to jump to defense, but let's continue with the offensive line. Here's the question. Do we still have problems on the offensive line? My answer is yes. Spencer Brown is a problem. Yeah. He's a problem, and he does seem to make some blocks sometimes, but more often than not, we're seeing that he had to get help. Somebody with a chip blocks, or
Tight ends. Tight ends.
Torrance coming over and helping him, the tight ends, and Mitch Morris is getting manhandled in the center of that line. We're watching him being pushed back into Josh's lap time after time. And you got to say, he was a great player. I don't think he's a great player anymore. And it could be age. Maybe his legs are giving out a little bit. Maybe his strength is giving out a little bit in his arms. I don't know. Maybe the age is getting to him. But you got two problems on that offensive line going forward. They may be good enough to get us through this year. I'm not sure. But Mitch Morris, we need a replacement. Spencer Brown, you can call him whatever you want. We need a tackle. We need a right tackle.
Yeah. I don't remember if it was in the Twitterverse or, I watch a bunch of Buffalo Bills videos, YouTube videos, YouTubers, and somebody brought up the point that this offensive line is the best offensive line that Josh Allen has played behind as Buffalo Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And first, I think that might be true. And two, Spencer Brown's got to go. He's a total liability. The number of times that Knox or Kincaid have to take on the defensive end before, not chip, take on, and then release, that totally disrupts their route. There's no timing involved anymore with what they're going.
We play 12 personnel, not to confuse the defense. We play 12 personnel because we have to protect the offensive line, and specifically Spencer Brown.
Yeah. The number of times that we generally only put one running back in that backfield. So we're running two tight ends and then three wide receivers. The number of times that they're doing that, and then one of those tight ends is helping Spencer Brown out before they go into a route, that effectively removes them from the play. Like Allen would have to be scrambling, and in a scramble, you'll throw to that fella because there's no timing left, because you don't know how long it's going to take the tight end to disengage from the defensive end. I mean, they are taking him on and then letting go, which gives Brown an extra second and a half to 2 seconds even to skip back and get in position before the defensive end is released. So you're running with 10 and a half players because two players are doing one job.
Yeah.
We all know that sometimes you keep a running back in for protection, you may keep a tight end for protection, but they do that in addition to having to help Brown.
We're talking about this and we make it sound like there's really problems on the bill. And there are some, but we're talking about a really good team. And I don't want anybody to misconfuse whatever we're talking about.
I gave them an A-.
Yeah, they're a really good team.
Offensive A-.
You're trying to win a Super Bowl. These are what we've identified as where the improvement needs to go. With the offensive line we talked about, people know how we feel now. Does anybody remember Tremaine Edmonds or even care?
Right, no.
Oh my God, Terrell Bernard, is he playing? He's balling out?
Well, we've got some other games coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the last year, 2 years ago, they drafted Bernard. Last year, they drafted Dorian Williams. Both of them look like from their weight and their size, they look like outside linebackers at best.
Yeah.
Or big safeties. Well, I think it's pretty clear they drafted each of them to give them a chance at the inside linebacker spot, right? That's Bernard for sure, because that's where he is. And I have a sneaky suspicion Dorian Williams too.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when they entered training camp, they said they were going to have him be the backup behind Milano, and that's fine. But I don't think that's why they drafted him. So they were looking to make a paradigm shift, a real fundamental change in what a linebacker and a middle linebacker looks like and how they play the game and what skill sets they need. And that's fine. Like, okay, it seems to be working out for them.
Think about the kind of linebackers we had in the 90s, Carlton Bailey,
Biscuit.
Yeah.
Right. Biscuit, Darryl Talley.
Darryl Talley.
Sure. For a little while, Shane Conlon.
those are totally different type of linebackers. But the game today dictates that you have to have a linebacker that has speed and you can drop into coverage, and he has to be able to blitz a quarterback.
Well, yeah. I hear you. They almost never ask Tremaine Edmonds to blitz. Like they would bring Milano or Sharon Johnson rather than Edmonds. But yet we've got Bernard running blitzing a couple of times a game.
I wish Edwards the best. I really do.
Sure.
But he just never seemed to be hitting the right hole at the right time.
Well, look, we watched plenty of video on him. You and I broke it down. On run plays. There were many times that he looked tentative.
Yeah,
Just
like he looked
tentative.
like he was a half a step behind the play while he tried to diagnose what was going on.
Well, he's still reading,
Yeah.
and not reading react, but read. Okay, that's it. And now other players are helping him. He's not charging, so you get it.
All right, so that said, what about Trey White? He's out again. He's probably out for the season. We haven't heard, but it was an Achilles injury. But we haven't heard if he's out for the season, but probably he is.
A significant amount of time, a number of games.
You got Benford. He's been playing well. Dane Jackson came in to finish the game where Trey White was. He played very well. Are we going to finally see our number one draft pick in Kaiir Elam?
Well, that's a great question. You and I were talking about putting up a video. Is it time to trade? Well, now you can't. Now you can't. It doesn't make
Right. We talked about it ourselves. Do we trade Elam and get something for him before there's no value?
Like they traded Boogie Basham because it was pretty clear. They're just the numbers and he didn't match up. Okay, I get that. That's defensive line. Elam was a former first round pick. It's pretty clear now that he was not a first round pick. But there's probably teams out there that had him as a second or even a third and would be willing to part with a fifth or a sixth, maybe. They basically gave away Boogie Basham. It was They almost paid him to take him.
Yeah.
They might be able to get something for Elam. And it was time to do that until Trey White got hurt.
Right. So now you've got Poyer out, but he may be back this week or next. Rapp was in there. He did okay. Dane Jackson was in the cornerback spot. He did okay. We can call back. We can dress Kaiir Elam. We got to hope he doesn't do any holding or interference penalties. But is that our depth? We increased our depth. How many times do we talk about they raised the bottom?
They raised the floor.
They raised the floor. Our depth is better than it was. So there wasn't as big a drop off when you're going to first round guys to backups. But now we got the backups in there. You got safety backup. You got cornerback, and maybe another quarterback. And is it time for Bean? Does he have to go out and scout the market and trying to get us some more backups?
I don't know what the disposition of the practice squad is, if there's a cornerback out there. But if not there, yes. Well, you kind of have to. Like on the 53-man roster, they've had 4 cornerbacks. Now, I suspect that's not because they really wish they could have had 3, but if they put Elam on the practice squad, he's going to get pulled. Someone's going to take him, right? So my guess is they want 4 going into practice each week, and then they're just picking 3 to dress. I would have to think that Elam will now be dressed, and they'll still want his spot replaced by another cornerback, I would think. So if they don't have somebody on the practice squad, yeah, he's got to go on the old.
I got another question for you. Poona Ford, they brought him in to be a run stuffer. We really haven't seen him much of anything in the games so far.
Yeah, look.
Is it time to say, maybe we can dangle Poona Ford out there as a trade bait for something?
I would like to ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you say trade bait, what do you mean by that?
To trade him for a cornerback or a safety.
Well, He did not play well his last season in Seattle, and he can't get a uniform
he
in
can't
this
get
team.
in
So could they? I don't know if they could get a sandwich for him. Like,
All right.
you're talking about a bag, maybe a bag of chips. What are they going to get for? Yeah. If they could get anything, if they could get a 7th rounder for him, he'd be out the door
Then
so
you
fast.
got to be asking yourself, it comes back to Bean. You got to be asking yourself, what is he doing taking up space on the 53-man roster?
Well, I think part of our issue here, George, is during training camp or before training camp when he came in, there was too much hype. Like there was all this hype. Don't look at his last season in Seattle. Look at the years before that and what a great run stopper he was. And Seattle changed the way they play the position, so he doesn't play so well in that style.
In that
but
system.
He's going to play well in our style. In the end, you still got to go up against the guy in front of you, and that was his problem. So they brought in a guy for depth, and we fell for it, thinking that he was going to be a difference maker. And he's a depth guy. We may see him, God forbid, if there's any injuries or they they need to replace somebody for a limited time or whatever. But I think that's being brought in a guy for depth, and the guy made the 53-man roster, so he didn't do a bad job of depth. They raised the floor.
All right.
They raised the floor.
I got 2 more things. Number 1, do we really have a running game again? We didn't see a big running game this week, but they did do some. They certainly used the backs. And we're seeing Murray coming out there and banging into for first downs. We're seeing Hardy get his first downs. Not Hardy, Damian Harris. We see Cook certainly catching the ball this week and making big plays. Are we finally have a more well-rounded offense and we're using the running back position?
Well, I think what you're seeing right now, especially this last game, is the model that they've been looking for. It isn't a 100-yard back or a 50-yard receiving back. It's when you want to run, can you run? Can you run enough to keep the opposing linebackers honest? And I think they have that right now. And I think that's all they were ever trying to get. They are a passing team.
All right. Last question. When is what's his name coming back?
Von Miller. You start with that one. You go
Von Miller.
When do you think Von Miller's coming
Well,
back?
I thought right from the beginning of the year that we wouldn't see him until they came back from London. But I don't know why in my head I thought they were off the next week from London and that was their bye week. But it's not. They have to go to Kansas City that week.
Right.
And I would sure love to see him on the field against Mahomes. But John, do you think it's possible that Von Miller could be cleared for the game and then have 1 or 2 weeks worth of practice and he's ready to go?
Well, if I recall, the way it kind of works is when they take him off, I think it's IR, they've got 2 or 3 weeks to let him practice before they have to put him on, make room for him on a 53-man roster. But what they did with Trey White last year is they did that, and then they still didn't play him. They just made him an act healthy scratch. And I think that's probably what we'll see. If they think that he's within 4 games of being able to start, then they'll pull him off now, and he's got a couple of weeks to play, a couple of weeks to practice. But if he needs more, he'll take it. He'll just be a healthy scratch.
I'll tell you what, I think there's 2 huge games on the horizon other than Kansas City, which is big. But those 2 games are against the Cowboys and against the Eagles. And I don't know the schedule off the top of my head, unless you could pull it up. But when are they playing the Cowboys and the Eagles?
Well, the Eagles are the day after Thanksgiving.
Okay, so that's still a little ways out.
Or Thanksgiving weekend or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Cowboys are 2 weeks after that.
All right, so prior to that, you've got
They also don't play Kansas City. That after the Jaguars, they play the Giants at home.
Oh, okay.
And then they play the Patriots on the road.
Oh, so
and the Buccaneers at home.
So here you got Eagles, Chiefs, and Cowboys 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
starting November 26th.
Right.
And so that's when I think that you will see. That's when I think you'll see Von Miller back.
Yeah, I think
at the end of November.
I think,
or maybe a little earlier to get him ready.
Look, I think that you are confused about one thing. They're not going to determine when Von Miller comes back based on the Bills' schedule. They also are not leaving him on the injury reserve list longer than he needs to be. They will play him the minute he's ready. And that is independent of their schedule. No coach is going to leave their best defensive player in the stands when he could be on the field.
Do you think they're going to risk him against another game against the Jets or New England when they really need him for those 3 games?
They needed him against the Jets this year.
I know that.
And they lost. They needed him against the Jets this year. So, yeah, they're not leaving their best defensive player on the bench or in the stands. They will put him on the field the minute he's ready. Now, I say ready. I'm talking about ready. I don't mean he's cleared to play. I do mean like they're going to listen to him. And if he's telling them, he's done this before, I'm not quite ready yet. And when I say he's done this before, he's been injured like 50 times, he's come back around. I believe they'll trust him. They trusted Trey White. Trey White kept telling them that he wasn't ready because they would have played him earlier. That had nothing to do with schedule and who they're going to play. And it never does. They will play them. You've seen NFL coaches play their stars late in games. It happened just 2 weeks ago when the Giants were getting their ass kicked. And they left Daniel Jones out there because he was going to pull him after he made a play, after they had some success. Right. Did they leave him out there? Yeah. Did they risk the rest of the season? Yeah. That is their mindset. And that's, you play your best.
Well, I still think we won't see him before half the season. That's 8 or 9 games.
If that's because medically that's when he's ready, that's when they'll play him.
I disagree with that in that I think they are trying to plan him to be ready for the big push in the second half.
Let me ask you a question.
And then the playoffs.
Yeah, put it to you this way. We were watching tape. How hard did Daquan Jones work this week?
Oh, man, yeah, hard.
Right? He had a lot of success. He was really pushing. He really had a lot of success this week. Are you going to go up to him as a coach and tell him, Von's ready, but it's only Patriots, so we're not going to play him? Fuck you.
I don't think
you go out there and work hard. He's going to sit in the stands.
I don't think they're going to say that at all. They're going to say he's not ready.
We're not going to put our best team out there. You just got to suck it up.
Well, I think they're going to.
You suffer.
I think they're going to lie.
He's going to sit in.
I think they're going to just tell him he's not ready. He doesn't feel ready yet. It's not our call. He's the one that says he's not ready. We trust his opinion. And I think that's what the game they're going to play.
I love them. Football coaches are not that bright.
All right. Well, we're going to watch. We're going to watch this develop and see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
All right.
True.
What about this weekend then?
London, going to London. That's right. Okay, so they're going to London. I think we got about a minute or so left here.
Can you find the point spread?
No, I have no idea what the point spread is. You got about 30 seconds. So what do you say?
I think that the Bills will be on track. They'll take the game against Jacksonville, and we're going to be looking at a juggernaut.
Okay. Listen, I hope you're right. My only concern is that in the past, it seems like the Jacksonville defense has been pretty stout against the Bills offense.
Josh Allen himself.
In those same games, the Bills defense have played well and been stout as well. It's just that you watch the whole game, and the whole game you think that the offense is finally going to put some points on the board, and they never do.
I think 12.
I hope that's not what happens.
I think 12 personnel and the run game will challenge the Jaguars defense, and the Bills will be able to get pressure on what's Goldilocks? What's his name?
Oh,
Lawrence. And I think the Bills will cover again.
Oh, you know what? We got more time because you're here with me.
Okay.
All right, so hold on. Let's look at the point spread real quick. Jaguars. 5.5. The Bills are favored by 5.5 points, if I'm reading that right.
Yeah, what's the over-under? Does you see?
Do you see it?
No.
Then it doesn't say.
Okay. We'll type it over. 5.5 points favored, and you got to go like this. There are only 5.5 point favorites.
Yeah, that's exactly what Miami fans said last week.
That's right.
They're only down by
They
one.
wore T-shirts.
Yeah.
Look, and the Bills, Diggs, and
You
Josh Allen are doing
you
this
and
on
I
the
were
sideline.
just bitching about the offensive line.
Yeah.
If the Jaguars' Josh Allen plays better than our Josh Allen, they're going to win.
If they got
And
the
that's-
running game going, if they get that
Who's
running,
they?
the Bills' offensive line.
The passing offense, they're going to run the ball now?
They've been running it for
28
all season.
Cook had 28. They ran their passing offense, who used the pass to set up their run. If they are able to run the ball, it probably is a good sign because it means they're passing.
But they've also got the
They're
tight
probably
end
sure.
duo that's going to make a difference out in those passing lanes.
Hold on. You're going to take this hand right here, people. We're going to put it behind his back because the Bills' tight end game is only 1.5 players because one of them has to make
block.
up for Spencer Brown.
All right.
So, okay.
Oh, then what do you think is going to happen in this game?
It's going to be a dogfight, and I have no idea who's going to win. I'm thinking take the points.
Take the point. Take
Take
the
the
Jaguars and the points.
Take the points.
Okay, maybe I'll give you that bet.
I'm not saying the Bills will lose, but I'm thinking maybe it's within 5.5 points.
Okay, all right.
Maybe the Bills defense scores.
Yeah,
That'd be fantastic.
I think the Bills defense could score 3 times.
That would be great.
I think the Bills will have 3 turnovers against the Jaguars.
+3? Or will Allen start with interception? Will they be +2, +3?
Oh, well, he's going to have an interception because that goes without saying.
I'm with you. Okay. So the Bills defense will get the ball 3 times, either between fumble recoveries or interceptions. Allen's going to throw 1. Do you think he'll throw more than 1?
1 touchdown?
Interception.
Oh, just 1.
How about fumbles lost for the Bills?
No.
All right. So the Bills will have a +2 advantage in turnovers. That's great because I'm liking our chances now. And do you care to do a score? Did we get the over under? Oh, we
Yeah,
did not.
5.5. Oh no, you didn't get me an over under.
All right,
You refused. You don't want to hear it.
I'm just saying I'm not your effing secretary. High five. Money lines. Over under. Do you see them right here, Jack? You vote 48.
Okay, what was the money line?
More than what we got.
-250 to +200 for the Jaguars.
That's right.
You're out of your mind. 48 points is the over and under.
So it says.
Well, I might go under 34 to 14.
I think under is a safe bet.
34 to 14. That's my score.
All right, 34 to 14. That's fantastic. Which team's got the 34?
Buffalo.
Okay, great.
Go Bills!
I'm thinking more like 20 to 24.
Yeah,
And I'm hoping it's the Bills. I picked that last week too.
yeah,
I
that's
did.
what you thought last week too. And
All right, everyone, look, go Bills.
Yeah, go Bills.
Thanks for watching.
Stick with me. I know what I'm talking about.
All right, bye, everyone.